Hello everyone, I'm L.A. Little and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets. We do it each day asking ourselves one question: what happened today? What does it tell us about the coming days? We do this show 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday, broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time, archived on YouTube under the channel L.A. Little. Also do a show on weekends, do it on Sunday, same time, same place, also archived in the same area. As far as what happened today, we had a sell-off, and that was after it looked like these markets were going to try to go up and break out the range. In terms of the numbers, 0.5% basically across the board. The Russell was spared. It broke even. Dow was not as bad. It had Boeing, I think, was the one pushing it today. But if you look elsewhere, the real numbers down here, it's the bonds. Bonds sell off hard, 2.5% again. Pretty big hit. Dollar was up, but really the story is here. So we're going to start there. We're going to start with the bonds because that's what's moving things. And you really want to be looking at whatever is moving things. Here's the bonds. I've been talking about the bonds. I talked about them, I believe, last night again, and said, this thing is going to move down. Right? Got its bounce. What was its bounce doing? It was coming in to do a retest regen, bearish, off that prior swing point low that broke. It didn't have the volume on the break. And a lot of times people look at it and say, okay, it doesn't have the volume, can't handle it. Well, when it comes back up and tests it, that's when it tells you, right? Are buyers willing to pay for a higher price, right? Or not? If they're not, they're going to drive it lower. They're driving it lower. What are they going to do? They're going to ABC this thing down. That's on the daily time frame. If you look at it on the weekly time frame, a little bit different story in terms of ABCD structure, but the structure is definitely in place now. Let's actually do the numbers tonight because now we've got the break. 138.50 and the bottom's 124, so you get about 14 bucks. 14 off of that takes you down to 118. 118 gets you down just a little bit higher than what I've got this at. So 118 gets you down into this area. What is that? It's a break of this big bar. This is what got people worried today and is what got people selling today. It's the break I even talked about. We're probably going to see that break. We're going to see it drive below that, finish off this ABCD structure. And people are going to freak out just about the time it's probably time to buy these things. And that's going to be a test of this swing point low. That's 118.21. Right? You got a little of a congestion area here. And we'll just have to see how far it wants to go and if it wants to blow it off or not. Now, a blow-off case would be where this thing actually escalates, goes a lot farther than we think, and volume expands tremendously. That would be some sort of a blow-off move. Right now, it doesn't have those characteristics. It looks like it's just going to fill out its projections. What did that do today to the markets? Well, that put the markets under pressure. If we go back over and we bring up the markets and take a look at them, we were looking at this Friday, looking at it last night. Friday's move came back up. I think I said as much. It's going to have a hard time getting over this area. Came back up, goes. I don't think it actually went over. Yeah, it did. Over, under, not an extended move, so it's an over, under, no volume, right? But it fells at the highs one more time. If we look at the NASDAQ goes over, under, less volume. That also says it wants to come back into the gap area. That S&P is also looking at that gap area. The NDX, disappointed in that it did not get any higher, so it goes over, under, also, and this one's already creeping back into the gap area. And then if we look at the Russell failed. The breakdown bar top 129.47, it gets over it, right? Got to 12.43. Underneath it, less volume, failure. That's the clean failure. The rest of them are just pullbacks. That's a failure. It's a failure at a key resistance zone. That's what you're always looking for. Where's something significant? That's significant. Over it, back under it, hanging man. This thing wants to go back down the other way. All right, let's pop over to the world markets right quick. And if I go to those, And I'm just going to pop through each of these because I got a lot of folks around the world that look at this show, from different regions. Australia, this one continues to want to come lower. It's in that retest regen zone. Looks to me like it's going to try to get to the bottom of it at this point. So this is going to be a big test for it as it comes back. And that one could get as far as 55.32. So my friends over there are not doing so well. The Indian market, the Sensex, pops back up. Now this is also doing a bearish retest regen now, and it's going to do a full one. It's back within 6 bars. Usually, if you're back within 6 bars, you can get to the top side of it. What's interesting about this one is this one's coming back in just like we just looked at on the Russell. It's coming back into the breakdown bar's top, and it gets over it. So tomorrow, if this can power back over this, that's going to throw this all back into a range trade sideways versus this down move it's got going on this time frame. So tomorrow should be a pretty interesting day here. That's the test. That test is the top of this bar. If we look at the, and right now it's got some good momentum getting over the breakdown bar, just has to extend now. We look at Brazil. Brazil's still hanging, nothing special there. France was selling off today, so it's halfway down, no volume. Yeah, I don't see anything here. It's just some selling. Let's look at the DAX. So the DAX also no volume, and let's see if the DAX got over the high. Nope. So it's inside bars on both of those. Doesn't really tell me anything. Let's look at the London FTSE. FTSE's over, under, back. That one wants to come back in some. Let's look at my friends up in Toronto. So Toronto looks like an inside day as well. Looks just like our market. 15, 2. Oh no, that's, I can't quite see it because it's red on red. So yeah, I got over, back under, no volume. That's also going to try to retrace. Let's look at the 8 shares at Hong Kong. Got a bounce. China reduces rates again last night. Let's look at Hong Kong. So these weak bounces here, these are going to try to come back. Let me pop over and see what China did. So if I look at Shanghai, and I've almost got this data in. Tomorrow I'll probably have it in, so we'll be able to see a full graph again. And well, it's coming back up, and it doesn't have volume. This is gonna, I don't know how far it's gonna get up, but it's gonna fail. It looks to me like it's gonna try to get into the bottom of this bar, 44.34. If it's gonna do it, it's gonna probably do it tonight or tomorrow. It's gonna do it right away. So the Shanghai market, the prognosis there doesn't look too bad. Let's look at Japan. Okay, big volume spike, gap up. Yeah, that one. Now this one also has a breakdown bar, right? So the target here is to get back to the breakdown bar. Look at this too. This is doing a bearish retest regen off of this bar, and it looks like it failed today. 19,725. Let me see here. 19,725, and it got to. Oh, it didn't even get to it. So tonight, this is probably going to try to go in and get over this bearish retest regen. If it doesn't, right, then that sets up the possibility of an ABCD structure to the downside, right? That would take it down to these lows. And you got nice volume down in this area, and then that low, that would be an ideal spot for a pickup, assuming that plays out that way. That's the Nikkei. Taipei, that's a bearish engulfing. Doesn't have the volume still. Let me see, that's low was 9,655. So it tests into it, doesn't have the volume. Wow, finished ugly though. It's going to test it again. Probably not going to be able to break it down. They're going to test it again. So when I look at the overseas markets, right, I don't see much encouragement here either. Can't tell in Europe, inside bars. Shanghai looks like it wants to push a little higher, so does the Nikkei. So Asia may be a little up tonight. If they reverse, and if Europe still has some problems, and you know, and the big issue is the German bond selling off, the US bond selling off. This market looks to me set up to try to come back in some more. Let's look at the XLF, because that was a read that we wanted to be sure and pay attention to. Let's see what it did today. Failure at the high. A failure at the high. That one's going to come back in. Looks unanimous to me, folks. This thing's going to try to come back in on us. I'm going to leave it at that tonight. Thanks for joining me. Have yourself a great one. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.